Osinguzi Joshua is one of 5 siblings, but he is the only child who is deaf. In this short film, he plays a doctor treating a deaf patient who struggled to communicate with him until an interpreter arrived to assist. What is special about it is that deaf children took part in the production process from start to finish. Osinguzi was in Primary 7 at Mulago School of the Deaf when he participated in the project. Later, he enrolled to the Mbale School for the Deaf, where he is currently pursuing a vocational course.
I enjoyed mostly about the doctor play because it really taught me about the problems, the health problems, and even the filming bit of it that was taught to us. I really took it on and accepted.
The inclusive life worlds of deaf children is the result of nearly 3 years of collaborative research with deaf children from Mulago Primary School for the Deaf in Kampala, led by Alexandra Tompkins, a visual anthropology PhD candidate at the University of Manchester, collaborating with the Department Hearing Impairment and Sign Language Interpretation Studies at Chambogo University. The exhibition Deaf Children's Stories of Inclusion has run for a week starting April 4th.
What skills did you learn any skills?
In terms of filming, how you're able to film someone in a play. So it gave me the ability to create something on my own so that I can even put it on camera.
Musinguzi's father, Godfrey Mucheveza, is a proud man. As the audience watched the film in Kampala, he was all smiles and looked confident about his son. His trick for inclusion at home is to treat every child equally and expose them to opportunities.
Joshua is my second born. My firstborn speaks. And when Joshua grew up at around 2 years, around 1 year, we realized that he's having a problem of hearing and speaking. So we took him to the hospital, they checked, and the hearing was very far. So we agreed as parents, because he's a child. Already we had another thirdborn who had started even to speak, and the second one was not speaking. So we took him to school. We first took him to a school where they were speaking. So we found it a challenge because he could not speak well. That's when we were advised to check for the schools. And finally, we go to Mulago School for the Deaf, where he started primary 1. But he's a good child. Our inclusiveness of the child at school and even at home, he do like any other children. We don't separate him. He do very good works at home. He's even advising others, especially the young ones. So he's okay with others. Surely the project helped me a lot to realize the potential of my deaf child, because I have 5 children. One is deaf, others speaks. But for sure, I have realized the potential from this deaf boy.
According to the World Health Organization, over 5% of the world's population is considered deaf or hard of hearing, which includes an estimated 466 million deaf individuals worldwide, with 34 million being children. In Uganda, the primary causes of deafness include preventable diseases such as malaria, meningitis, and untreated ear infections. While exact statistics on the deaf population in Uganda are scarce, it is estimated that 80% of deaf people live in low and middle-income countries where access to medical treatment is limited. Tompkins' project emphasizes possibilities over limitations and challenges the stereotype that deaf children are incapable.
So one of the things that emerged through this project that I would have had no idea when I started the project that it would become such a huge part of this project is inclusion. I think at the beginning I kept the question very broad. How can we use visual media and play to understand more about deaf children's lived experiences? That was my main research question. As the project went on, I found that inclusion emerged as a major theme, not only at the level of the children in the school and also with the teachers. It was a topic that came up a lot, but also as I attended kind of meetings and had interviews with different organisations for the deaf and with the Curriculum Development Centre here, and even in the media, I was finding that inclusion is such a kind of a key theme at the moment that is being discussed everywhere at the level of policy, but less so kind of from the ground up. And so this led to the filmmaking workshops, part of this project, where we focused on inclusion to work with deaf children, for them to create their own films about what inclusion means to them. So we have one film set in the present day and one film set in the future. And these films were entirely filmed and directed and acted by the children themselves. We taught them filmmaking technique, we taught them photography along the way. So that's also something really important that I want to highlight from this project, is that, so as well as learning a lot about deaf children's lived experiences for my research, it was also an opportunity for deaf children to also build these technical skills in filmmaking and photography as well. And it was wonderful to see them kind of growing confidence as the project went on. And I hope in terms of future impact, this exhibition today is on a scale, and this film screening a scale that I hadn't anticipated, and I'm completely kind of excited and overwhelmed by this as well, and the positive reception that we've got. It will be great to see tonight as well, the kids up on stage introducing their own films, and I hope that the project will have some kind of small impact for the general public to see what deaf children and what other people who experience the world differently are capable of, and to not kind of restrain them based on previous conceptions of what they are able to do.
Prosi Wanyama is the Deputy Head Teacher at Mulago School of the Deaf and a qualified special needs teacher. She welcomes exploring how visual media could be utilized to develop more deaf-centered instruction and teaching, recognizing the deaf children and typically visual learners.
This project has been so good in a way that it's out of this project that we have been able to realize that these children have hidden potentials. So we have been able to discover the diversity of these learners, even besides education or besides academic work, but more so, it has impacted on the children's learning in a way that it has helped to show us that we can use practical ways or multi-sensory ways of teaching these children, because we have seen that besides classrooms or besides using academic knowledge or structured knowledge, we can apply some other methods to see that we deliver the skills or the information.
Angela Nanteza is a deaf teacher and was an assisted workshop facilitator during the project. She lost her hearing ability at the age of 5, and doctors have never figured out why. Over the years, it was a struggle to how to adapt until her parents eventually enrolled her to a school for the deaf in Masaka. She didn't feel so much included then, but attributes this to the lack of awareness and limited assistive technologies.
With inclusion, it means that I can stay with the hearing people. We can work together without any hindrances. We can change something. For example, I personally, who is deaf, it means someone who is hearing can also learn my language, the sign language. Okay? For example, when I was in school, I was alone, and I was the only deaf student in class. But also, when I joined university, most of my classmates were also hearing, and I was only deaf person in class. So this means that I can learn with them without any hindrances. So this can mean inclusion.
And it is what experts are pushing for. Dr. Samlu Talochinji, one of Alexandra's PhD supervisors and head of the Department of Hearing Impairment and Sign Language Interpretation Studies at Chambogo University, is banking on sign language to build strong communities among young deaf people. He's calling on the government to invest in technology.
We really need to look at inclusion as in a big picture, and we need to look at special needs as well. We do not have to lose the concept of special needs, because special needs for deaf children, it brings about fluency and developing language, cognitive ability, because it as well helps in the identity, and it builds the culture and enables children to really fluently communicate. And so, if we're looking at inclusive society, we need to have schools with role models, deaf role models, be brought on board, but also identify teachers who are fluent and sign language interpreters to be able to support. And at all levels of education, primary, secondary, tertiary institutions and universities.
Throughout the workshops, 3 key themes were evident: home and family life, essentially using storytelling, and during the project explored the children's family backgrounds and how these relate to their linguistic development.
The longer you spend engaging with people who are members of the deaf community, you start to realise how tight-knit this community is. And I don't know if I would say surprising, but inspiring it has been to experience this and to become associated with the deaf community and to attend these events where people are really campaigning for equality, and it's wonderful to become a part of this.
Alexandra partnered with Devinson Mugume, one of the founders of Film Possible, to help the children with storyboarding, scripting, acting, filming and editing.
This approach, for me, this was quite an amazing opportunity because Alex is a friend of mine and we kept on talking about this project for some time. And last year, in 2023, the time came and she was like, this is it, we have to do it. Alex approached me and I was like, I have this thing, I would like us to do a workshop, and I'm always up. Film Possible, always ready for trainings. But she was like, there's only one thing, I'm working with the deaf children. That was like, okay, that's an interesting challenge, but we were excited to tackle it. So I talked to my colleagues, Patience and Ali, and what we did is working with a few trainers, we came together and made a system that not only what we try to do at Film Possible and our approach in this workshop, we made sure that we take the students through all forms, from the story generation and ideation phase into storyboarding, into camera, and at the end doing the practicals. So it was quite intense, and it was, for me, what really excited me was we came as the trainers, but it was a mutual training experience, because even the children were teaching us how to sign and we were teaching them how to make film. And at the beginning it was quite delicate on how do we go about it, but at the end of the day, communication, I feel like we learned a lot from them in terms of how to sign, and they learned from us on how to tell a story, and it was so beautiful when it clicked. And for me, it was when we're making it was I think the second day of filming, when for a moment there I looked around and I could see camera operators, the director, the actors, and everyone knew what was going on, and the communication was on point. And for a moment there, it was magic to see they had figured it out and they're doing it. And for me, that really gave me a lot of pride, and I'm proud of that.
The exhibition and film screening showcased drawings, photographs and films created by deaf children from Malaga School of the Deaf, offering a unique insight into their lived experiences. The exhibition is the result of visual media workshops carried out between 2022 and 2024.
Here is a nurse. Please, nurse, move with the interpreter to the sick bed to see the patient.
As Tompkins looks to the future, it's clear that there is still much work to be done to ensure that deaf children have equal access to education, healthcare, and opportunities for personal and professional growth. However, with projects like this one, we're inspired to see that positive change is possible. New Vision TV. Stream smart, stream New Vision.